You may wonder why I switched to layer milk. Well, I got hooked after my fitness trainer told me about the good stuff inside. You should try it.
Exercise and making good nutrition decisions like drinking calcium-enriched loyal milk every day is vital because it helps you nourish your bones and body so that you can live a more active life every day.
That's why I encourage my clients and ensure that my family gets their loyal milk too.
So, make that switch to calcium-fortified loyal milk because it's what's inside that matters.
Welcome back. Is there anything called Nigerian literature, or is what we get too diverse for us to be?
There is something called Nigerian literature, and anytime I want to press the button home, I ask Nigerians, because Nigerians are dullards who will read foreign books but will not read their own. If you really want to know whether there is a Nigerian literature, you will read Arrow of God, Death and the King's Horseman, The Last Imam, and without quibbling, go and read Elisha Ahmadi's The Concubine. The reason I put those three together, because there's a fifth book I usually add, which is Cyprianensis Jaguarana. Now, if you put those two big books together, those ought to be regarded as classics that all Nigerian children, before they leave secondary school, must read.
What is the unifying factor? What are the things that make literature Nigerian?
That is exactly why I mentioned those books. You see, Cyprianensis was the most Nigerian of writers. He wrote about virtually every part of the country. And therefore, he gave us a sense of possibilities that are available to us if we can but be human enough to embrace those possibilities. Then, you then have these authors who tell us stories that are so similar. It tells you that there is no difference between one part of Nigeria and the other. What Nigerian literature has done across the ages is actually to show you the pictures of these various groups that are Nigerians. And the literatures are not good at crisscrossing the borders. But when they tell the stories of the individual groups, you suddenly discover they are telling exactly the same stories. And that there is no difference between a Tahir Ibrahim telling the story of the religious leader in Bauchi and Chinua Achebe telling the story of Ezelu.
You worked with the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, I believe, very closely as his private and also political secretary. Everybody I've spoken to says they've been expecting you to write a book about Chief Obafemi Awolowo, especially because you are prolific in the works that you do. Are you writing a book? And if you are, when are we likely to see it published? If you're not, why not?
I started writing the book almost as some kind of knee-jerk action. But I realized that what I needed to do was not just write a book about Awolowo. Awolowo happened to have had an altercation virtually with almost every segment of society. He wanted to change this, he wanted to make that different and the rest of it. So that if you want to understand Awolowo's story, you must understand Nigeria's story. And all the people he had to interact with, you do need to know them. If I wanted a one-line Awolowo story, it's really easy to write in 1 year. But I then realized I wasn't also doing a book just to intervene in the existing political situation. I wanted a book that a child born in 100 years will read and recall the way Europeans recall the philosophers who changed their country.
So how many years now you've been writing this book?
No, people are not watching. The same way that I said they weren't paying attention when the National Assembly was drawing up a new constitution before the National Conference. People are not watching. I have just published In Search of Ogun, Shoyinka in Spite of Nietzsche. It is a work of cultural philosophy which deals with problems, ethnic, national, philosophical, and the rest of it, and could be regarded as a way of inserting an argument into the way Yorubas perceive reality. I have also finished a book which, When Does the Civil War Come to an End? It deals with the Igbo question, especially in relation to how they responded to Awolowo, the only man who should have been the Igbo leader in Nigeria. Because properly speaking, Zik was a Yoruba man. Awolowo was the one leader who had the spirit the Igbos needed if they were going to be the tough-minded people that they are in business and in several things. Unfortunately, Nigeria misorganizes themselves. So
people have spoken to, I know about these books, and they believe you're dancing around the story of Awolowo. And in fact, someone said to me, please ask him, is he afraid? Is that why he's not writing the book?
Actually, I thought before we started this interview, I explained something to you. I said my first name is Odia. It means something that is straight, like a pillar that holds a house. When you say something dear in Ishan, it means this thing has to be good and straightforward. And my surname, Ofeimun, means somebody who is not afraid.
I'm going to get a bit personal.
I don't mind.
When are you getting married?
When I find a woman who would agree to marry me.
So in 60 years, you haven't found the woman.
But
60-something years.
The point is that...
Because everybody's wondering, when are you getting married?
Okay, put it this way. My mother, in order literally to blackmail me, would say, that's just towards the end of her life. She will say, you know, even men, it's not only women that reach menopause, even men reach menopause. It was part of a way of literally conscientizing me to do it. And it's not as if I didn't want to. It just couldn't happen.
You were too much into your work. You didn't want to share your time.
I never took a decision not to marry. It just happened. And when I say that, people think I'm, just finding excuses.
But people make time for the things they consider important.
Maybe, frankly, the kind of importance I give to marriage is too high, and that's probably why it has not happened. No, seriously. Maybe I take it too seriously, and therefore, I don't want to trivialize the decision making.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the program. Thank you very much. You've been watching Straight Talk with me, Kadria Ahmed. My guest was poet and writer, Mr. Odia Ofeimun, with whom I discussed literature, nationhood, and the Nigerian Civil War. Join me next week when I'll be in conversation with another special guest. Have a very good evening.